Spiritual monitoring is one of the most common yet least understood forms of demonic attack. It's a systematic form of spiritual surveillance where the enemy assigns specific demons to watch your life, gather information about your patterns, and use that intelligence to launch targeted attacks against your destiny. Most believers who experience this don't recognize it for what it is, but today you're going to learn the warning signs and discover how to break free. But before we dive into the signs, let's understand what spiritual monitoring actually is. In the spiritual realm, information is power. The enemy knows that if he can gather enough intelligence about your life, your patterns, your weaknesses, and your spiritual seasons, he can develop strategies to defeat you more effectively. The problem is, Satan is not omnipresent as God is, and so in order for him to keep his eyes locked on you, he must divide some of his forces to keep their eyes on you. In some cases, you might sense it, but in other cases, you might not. Spiritual monitoring is when demonic forces are assigned to systematically observe and interfere with your life. It's like having spiritual spies assigned to your case. Isaiah chapter 8, verse 19 describes exactly how they work. It says, "And when they shall say unto you, Seek unto them that have familiar spirits, and unto wizards that peep, and that mutter." Notice that it describes them as those who peep and mutter. To peep means they spy on you, and to mutter means they speak evil words against you. These monitoring spirits watch your life, your relationships, your finances, and your spiritual growth. They report back to higher-ranking demons who use this information to coordinate attacks against your life. The very first major sign that you're under spiritual monitoring is when your private information consistently gets leaked out, even when you've told absolutely no one. I'm not talking about a case where you carelessly share your information out in public. I'm referring to cases where you keep your life private, but somehow every time you have a plan, someone or people get to know about it, and it spreads like wildfire. This happens because monitoring spirits listen to your conversations, watch your movements, and report back to other demons, who then influence people to reveal your private information. It's like having invisible wiretaps on your life that feed information to the enemy's intelligence network. This happened to King David a lot of times. After David's rise in favor, Saul sought to kill him. David had to hide in various places, but something mysterious always happened to David. Every time David hid himself somehow, David's information mysteriously got leaked to Saul. In 1 Samuel 23 verse 7, David hid himself, and Saul was told. In verses 14 to 15, David relocated himself to the wilderness of Ziph, and once again, Saul got to know about it. In verses 19 through 24, David changed his location. This again was mysteriously made known to Saul. Every time David hid himself, Saul always heard where he was and knew where to find him, no matter how much David hid himself. This is how monitoring spirits work too. They always try to expose your private information in one way or another. So, let's say you have a private project you are about to carry out, and you've told absolutely no one, but the people you're trying to keep this information start giving you unsolicited advice about it. Or maybe you're planning to change jobs, and somehow your current boss starts acting suspicious, even though you haven't said a word. Information leaked to the wrong people at the wrong time can destroy destinies that took years to build. The enemy uses this leaked information to embarrass you, damage your reputation, sabotage your relationships, and create confusion in your life. The goal is to make you paranoid, isolated, and reluctant to trust anyone with sensitive information. In Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 20, Solomon wrote, "Curse not the king, no, not in thy thought, and curse not the rich in thy bedchamber. For a bird of the air shall carry the voice, and that which hath wings shall tell the matter." Solomon understood that there are spiritual forces capable of carrying information from private places to public spaces. The word bird here in Hebrew is opsh, which refers to flying creatures, but spiritually, it represents messenger spirits that transport information. The enemy uses leaked information strategically. He wants to embarrass you, damage your reputation, sabotage your relationships, and create paranoia in your life. When your private information keeps getting exposed, you start becoming afraid to trust anyone. You become isolated, which makes you more vulnerable to attack. This, right here, is spiritual warfare through information warfare. The second major sign of spiritual monitoring is when, every time you're close to a major breakthrough, unexpected obstacles arise that seem to come from nowhere at that exact time. You're about to get a promotion, and suddenly your boss finds fault with your work. You're about to receive a financial blessing, and an unexpected expense wipes out your savings. You're about to enter that relationship, and something happens to drive you apart. This is what I call breakthrough sabotage, and it's one of the most frustrating forms of spiritual attack. The enemy can study seasons and knows that your breakthrough is coming because he's been monitoring your spiritual progress, your prayers, and your seasons. He positions obstacles right at the finish line to discourage you from pressing forward. The timing of these obstacles is too precise to be coincidental. They don't happen randomly. They happen exactly when you're about to step into your next level. The enemy has been watching your spiritual development, and he knows when you're ready for breakthrough. That's when he deploys his most strategic attacks. For example, you've been praying for a new job for months, and finally, you get called for an interview at your dream company. The night before the interview, your car breaks down, your babysitter cancels, and you wake up sick. These aren't random events. They're coordinated attacks designed to prevent you from stepping into your breakthrough. Or you've been believing God for a financial miracle, and suddenly you receive an unexpected check in the mail. But before you can even deposit it, your family member is sick, your car needs major repairs, and you receive a bill you weren't expecting. The enemy monitored your prayers and positioned these expenses to steal your breakthrough. The third sign that you're under spiritual monitoring is when you keep having dreams or nightmares about people chasing you or stalking you. Dreams are often the language of the spirit realm, and when monitoring spirits are assigned to track you, this activity frequently manifests in your dream life. You might dream of being followed, chased, or watched by unknown individuals. You might see surveillance equipment, cameras, or recording devices in your dreams. These aren't random nightmares. They're spiritual revelations of actual surveillance happening in the spirit realm. In Numbers chapter 12, verse 6, God says, "If there be a prophet among you, I the Lord will make myself known unto him in a vision, and will speak unto him in a dream." God uses dreams to communicate spiritual realities, and when you're under monitoring, he often reveals this through dream imagery. These surveillance dreams often feature recurring themes: being chased by unknown persons, hiding from pursuers, feeling watched or followed, or seeing cameras and recording equipment. Sometimes you'll dream of being in meetings where people are discussing your private information, or you'll see files being compiled about your life. These dreams are not meant to frighten you, but to alert you to spiritual activity so you can take appropriate action. Just as earthly intelligence agencies tap phone lines and intercept communications, monitoring spirits attempt to intercept your spiritual communications. They position themselves to eavesdrop on your prayers, observe your worship, and monitor your spiritual activities. This is why the psalmist in Psalm 64 verse 1 prays, "Hear my voice, O God, in my prayer. Preserve my life from fear of the enemy." The psalmist recognized that even our private communications with heaven can be targeted by enemy surveillance. This isn't just about physical privacy, it's about creating a spiritually secure environment for communication with God. When you're under monitoring, establishing secure prayer environments becomes crucial for receiving uninterrupted guidance from heaven. Monitoring spirits also work to corrupt your discernment and decision-making by feeding you false information. They might whisper thoughts that seem like wisdom, but lead you away from God's will. They present counterfeits of divine guidance designed to lead you off course. The enemy's monitoring system is designed to create what intelligence agencies call predictive models of your behavior. By observing your patterns, responses, and spiritual rhythms, They attempt to predict your next moves and prepare countermeasures. This is why breakthrough often requires changing your spiritual patterns, varying your prayer times, and keeping certain aspects of your relationship with God completely private. When you recognize you're under spiritual monitoring, your response must be strategic and biblically grounded. First, you must understand that greater monitoring often indicates greater destiny. The enemy doesn't waste resources monitoring people who pose no threat to his kingdom. As Jesus said in Luke chapter 12, verse 2, "For there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known." Jesus was teaching that all hidden things will eventually be exposed, including the enemy's surveillance operations. This is both a warning and a promise. The enemy's monitoring will be exposed, but so will God's plans for your life. Breaking free from spiritual monitoring requires what we might call spiritual counterintelligence. You must learn to pray with spiritual encryption, vary your spiritual routines, and create secure communication channels with heaven. One of the most powerful weapons against monitoring spirits is the blood of Jesus. In Revelation chapter 12, verse 11, we read, "And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death." The blood of Jesus creates a spiritual shield that monitoring spirits cannot penetrate. This is why praying in tongues becomes crucial when you're under monitoring. In 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 2, Paul explains, "For he that speaketh in an unknown tongue speaketh not unto men, but unto God, for no man understandeth him. Howbeit in the Spirit he speaketh mysteries." When you pray in your heavenly prayer language, you're communicating in spiritual encryption that monitoring spirits just cannot decode. Your spirit is speaking directly to God in a language that bypasses demonic surveillance. This creates secure communication channels between you and heaven that the enemy just cannot penetrate. The authority of the believer is another crucial weapon against spiritual surveillance. In Luke chapter 10, verse 19, Jesus declared, "Behold, I give unto you power to tread on serpents and scorpions, and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means hurt you." You have been given authority to shut down surveillance operations in the spirit realm. God's intelligence about your future is greater than the enemy's intelligence about your past. Your destiny is not determined by the enemy's intelligence gathering. It's determined by God's eternal purposes. No matter how sophisticated demonic surveillance, it cannot override heaven's plans for your life. The same God who delivered Daniel from the lion's den and the 3 Hebrew boys from the fiery furnace will protect you from every surveillance operation of the enemy. Thank you for watching. If you love our videos, please feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel.